All right, man. Welcome to another episode of Stats Global Podcast. I'm your host, Coach T, where each week I sit down with leaders, game changers, and community members that impact the community. Today, I'm really excited, man. I'm really excited about this conversation that we're about to have. So if y'all ready for a very, very, very intriguing conversation, lock in and let's get it. So before, I'm not going to introduce you. I want you to let us know who you are and what you do.
All right, look, first, thank you for having me on your podcast.
Thank you for coming.
Hey, I'm excited too. As y'all can see, I love smiling. I am James J.R. Edwards. Everybody in the community calls me J.R. Let's see, I'm a musician, entrepreneur. I play keyboard and organ for the church. I do weddings. I can play just about any function, any function. I'm also an ordained minister in the church. So if anybody want to get married, we can do some counseling. I'm looking for somebody to let me marry them. They let me bury them.
Yes,
I said it earlier, they let me bury them, but I want them to let me marry them.
Yes.
Holy matrimony.
Yes.
But so I am 43 years old.
Okay.
Born December the 10th.
Okay.
I often say I came in this world weighing a whopping 11 pounds, 15 ounces.
Oh, wow. So the average is normally like about 8, right? 11?
Yeah. I was 11. That's what my mom
ready
said.
To go.
Yeah, she said that's why she didn't give me no brother or sister because I was too big. They said I can just walk to the nursery. So, when I was born, I had a few, I guess you say, some health challenges. Because I was so big, I was damaged on my left side, so I was paralyzed on the left side.
Wow.
Which I feel that's kind of the intro into a lot of things that have transpired in my life for the good, for the better. Like I said, I started playing organ and keyboard when I was 11.
Okay.
Let me see. From there, I was making about $65 a week.
Okay. All right.
That was my first.
At 11, that's good though.
Yeah,
right?
that was good. Back in '93.
I was going to say back in the 90s, right?
Yeah, that was
back
'93.
Okay.
So I was doing that, and that's what led me to one of my first businesses.
Okay.
Which was I'm gonna say within that time frame between the 11 to like the 16 era. I started my first business. Which now I have revamped it, but my music business called The Music Factory.
Okay. Wow. I didn't know that's the name of it. I like that.
So, and I did that because I knew that I wanted to do other things, but I didn't want to put anything somewhat in my name.
Yeah.
But I just called it The Music Factory because I felt like that different things are produced out of a factory.
Oh, yeah.
So it, on one hand, it wouldn't limit me somewhat, but
long-term thinking already.
Yeah, I was thinking. I've been thinking about $1.
Wow. Gotta make money, man.
You got to. And so from there, I started doing that. Did the that particular business, but also I don't know what my mom has done taxes all of my life and majority of her life. And when I was doing certain transactions, I noticed that when I got to one particular church that I was playing for, they wanted to do taxes. And so my way somewhat around that was to put my business name, put it in a business. So that way they can write it to my business versus writing it to me.
Yes.
So now, when they get around the W-2s and all that thing, it would be a 1099. So a nugget. With them 1099s, you can write off more than what you could with a W-2. So like, for example, when I did that, I was able to write off like my dry cleaning.
Okay.
So whatever was required of me for that, for the job, so dressing up, dress suit, tie, whatever I needed clean, I could do that. But also, my mom was a single parent.
Yeah.
So that money, she often used to say, helped to offset and buy my stuff for school clothes and school material, things like that. So really, that is my for lack of better words, music has been like my bread and butter.
Oh yeah, and that's why I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of you in the music, like just in the music area around here for some time. So I can tell that that don't make sense. Like the Music Factory and how young you were when you got started. So you said a 1099, right? So I'm trying to understand, just because I dropped the nugget.
Okay.
Right. So I want to make sure I understand. So you started your business, right?
Right.
And was it an LLC? Like, did you do a bit or sole proprietorship?
It was under sole proprietorship.
Okay.
So, from my understanding, and all the consult a tax advisor.
Yes.
I would jot that too. But from my understanding, so what I was trying to do when it came to like the difference between the LLC and then sole proprietor, many times if you were a single member LLC, they still looked at you as a sole proprietor. So you still had to use your social, or you could separate it. So what I started doing too was, as I started climbing up doing the business thing, I had EINs for each one.
Okay.
So I would try to use those in place of my social security number.
Got you.
But IRS still looks at it, just let them separate
you from what you were doing with your business. Okay. And this was about what, 16 that you started?
Yeah, this is about 16 when I first started one. Because some of my friends, we had one that was called, I did one that was called Pexel Music. It was PECSL, and it actually stood for like I think it's the last names of a few of my friends.
Okay. That was creative.
Some of them did. One might have did drums. One was keyboard. One was in there. He didn't do nothing, but he went with everything.
I know that's right.
It was like support. Yeah, he was a support. That's my friend. I'm gonna shout him out. My friend Kevin Lee.
Okay.
You know Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin right now he cooking, doing all that stuff. But Kevin,
he catered our banquet for basketball last season. Yep.
Yeah,
Good
Kevin.
Guy. Good guy.
Kevin don't play no instrument. He did sing in the choir when we was at DCC.
Okay.
But otherwise, he on board.
Oh yeah.
Kevin on board. You got an idea, he gon' roll with it.
Okay.
So we started doing a lot of that with, like I said, with some of my friends, and I had different goals because I was in school somewhere they call me mischievous.
Okay.
I always looked at I was the one that got caught.
Everybody was doing it though, but you got
caught. I was the one that got caught. Yeah. And I went to a school that here in Danville that was called the Opportunity School.
What? I would have never. What?
Yeah. See,
really?
I was at the Opportunity. I was one of the OGs. So this was when I say the OG They piloted this school.
So you had humble beginnings here in the city.
Humble. I was born and raised here.
Okay.
And how they sold it, they told us that we was gonna be taking field trips every Friday. You won't go get an F or nothing like that. Oh, I was like, let's go. But I met a lot of my friends. Yeah. So here in Danville, we ain't have, to my knowledge, we ain't have like no East Coast, West Coast. It was just North side, South side.
Exactly.
If you was on the over on the river, you was South side.
Yep.
You crossed the bridge, you was North side. So by me going to Opportunity School, I was somewhat neutral because I had friends and family on the North side, and friends and family that was on the South.
Yes.
So
same.
I was always that comedian. I'm trying to make everybody laugh and stuff like that. But so we started out at Opportunity School, and that's why I met some of my friends. Actually, one of my best friends that I met, we met because he was coming down the stairs, and I was going up the stairs singing a Canton Spiritual song.
Okay.
Back in the day, it was Singing in the Heavenly Choir. That was a song.
I haven't
heard
that one. I listened to them, but I haven't heard that song.
Yeah, it's old. So when we was in school, we was coming down, and I was singing, and I heard him pick up on the line. And I said, "You go to church?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Man, I ain't think nobody go to church." In school, I didn't know that.
Yes.
So we became friends. I met my musical mentor, who was he's living in Charlotte now. His name is Reverend Gardine.
Okay.
He was very adamant about helping young people.
Yeah.
And things like that. So he kept us out of trouble and things like that. Okay. So I used to set short-term and long-term goals.
Already? So you already on it.
I did, but
single parent home.
Single parent home. My mom. Yes.
Making money, knowing how to navigate through the business world, and wow.
Yeah, it's my pastor that passed away a couple of years ago, Apostle Lawrence Campbell, who was very
impactful
here.
Community here, very.
He taught. He was very instrumental when I connected with him, as it relates to like business and doing different things. So I didn't meet him technically until, I started when I was 11. When I was about 19, I started playing for a church here called Bible Way.
Okay, yeah.
And that was one of my goals.
Wow.
I wanted to be able to play for Bible Way.
Yeah, Bible Way is one of those milestone, accomplishments for musicians or just church in the church industry in general.
Yeah, and so I was a couple of my friends. I never thought I was good enough to get to certain musical levels because I always felt like the others were a lot better than me. But I often say we are our worst critic.
Most definitely.
So what other folks saw, I never really somewhat saw. Even now, sometimes I feel like I still play like I did when I first started, and I have gone.
Must be good then. That must be good then. Great.
It's humble. It keeps you humble.
Yes.
It keeps you humble.
Yes.
But yeah, so I did that. Started playing for them through a friend of mine because I was teaching something at GW. GW used to have a gospel choir.
Okay. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
I got to go over there, and we started. I started teaching something to their youth choir at the time there, and Bishop had talked to me about playing, and this was one of my real lessons. So the other part, I was just really shooting from the hip type of thing. But when you really meet someone that really understands business, and he was like, I want you to come play, and he was like, bring me a proposal by my office. And we're talking. I'm saying, I ain't know, but I'm like, okay. We didn't have ChatGPT back then.
ChatGPT, the internet was slow, right?
Yeah, we didn't have it. So I'm like, okay, I know what I thought I was doing, but what I learned, he knew numbers. And when I sat before him like we are now, he was sitting at his desk, and I had what I consider a cheat sheet. So on my cheat sheet, I had all my figures down, what it was a yearly and all that, so I could speak to it.
Okay.
Again, I think some stuff is just, I guess, innate. You're born with it.
For sure.
And I guess that could be like a certain type of hustle mentality.
Yeah.
And so I'm entering into the world, but I don't really know. But I had my notes just in case.
Yeah.
By the time I finished speaking on certain things, he had already had it out in his mind. He already knew what was what. And so we kind of agreed there. And I actually had been under him from the age of 19 really until about his passing for like over 20 some years. About 25 years I was with Bishop.
Wow.
And so some stuff I caught. And some stuff is taught, some stuff is caught. And then many times you're not in a financial predicament where you can implement a lot of things that people have taught you.
Yeah.
But you retained it.
Yes.
So that when that opportunity do come, you know what to do.
Yes.
And so in that whole time, so music, again, was my basis. That was my foundation. I didn't go to school for it. I learned by ear.
Okay.
And I wish I did not allow the teachers at the time. We had like a college fair.
Yeah.
And they told me, well, I had to know how to read and do things like that before going.
I heard that too.
And it kind of discouraged me. So I was like, man, you know what? I could write it out. That someone that knows how to read it can read it, but I just couldn't read it myself. So that was like a gift. I feel like that was a gift.
Yeah, definitely.
One of my teachers, if he ever get to see it, I'm gonna send it to him. His name was Sean Thorpe. He messaged me. He was at GW for a little bit, and at the time,
Mr. Purvis and band.
Mr. Purvis was cool with my friend Eric.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Mr. Thorpe was over chorus.
Okay.
And at the time, Kurt Franklin had a song out called You Can Lean on Me. It was like, here's my shoulder, you can lean. And they didn't have the sheet music out. And I said, well, I'm basically sticking my foot in my mouth. I said, I can write it out. I can do it for you. He's like, you can write it out. I was like, yeah. So my friend Eric, who played drums, he knew the time signatures and stuff like that. I knew Every Good Boy Does Fine. I knew all that. So when it came to certain things, when it was dun, 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 I was like, Eric told me, okay, you connect this right here. I wrote it out. I wrote enough, took it down to the chorus teacher, and I said, so can you read? I put this up there. He put it in. He did it. He said, wow. He said, you can't read this?
That's what I'm sitting there. I'm like, man.
I'm like, no, I can't read it. I know I can't sit down and play it, but this is what and he played what little bit that is. If I find it, I'm out there.
So you can write out the notes or write out melodies and things for the music, but can't read it. But you can also play it if somebody plays it.
Right. I can play it by ear. I can play it down, write it out, but I can't sit down and play it myself.
Man, wow.
You know?
So I could play by ear as well. I learned a couple of songs Mom was learning. She was learning.
Okay.
And she played by reading the music, and she showed me, and I picked it up. You know, of course, it was joyful, but it was the real basic version of it.
Yeah.
But I was thinking I'm going to buy me a keyboard, you know, a couple years down the road and be able to play it like on Sister Act 2, but it never got there. However, you know, but I mean, like you said, just playing it by ear. So I think it was another somebody else I ran across while I was at church. He played was it Tasha Cobb's man? What was the song by Tasha Cobb's?
Was it Power? No, there was no Break Every Chain.
It was it was one. It was like after that. It was man, I listen to it all the time. I'm gonna have to. It's gonna come to me. But he played it, and I love that song because I heard it at church. He played it, so I learned how to play. I think maybe like the first. I don't know, was the chord. I don't know, but I played a little bit of it just by him showing me, and I just kept playing over and over and over again, so I can play that one. But like you said, playing by ear. But I played drums. And I was in music, so I know how to read the music. I started with the clarinet, and I played drum, and I moved to the snare. So, but you know, notes on the clarinet and snare are not the same.
Right.
But after I stopped playing in middle school, this is what, like 8th grade, and then to fast forward to like maybe 5, almost 10 years later, that's when my aunts learned how to play the keys, and I was playing it, but it was by ear. So I'm like, how could I read music at one point, but now I don't know. you know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I mean, I know if you show me some stuff now, I'll be able to do it. You know, but drums are natural for me. Like I love to play. I haven't ever played for anybody though, but I can.
You play.
I can play.
You play? But you ain't
play.
ever played out.
No, so I get nervous when there's a lot of people around. You know, so I get real nervous that I'm gonna mess up. And
yeah, I don't never. Most of the time, I don't
play
make eye contact.
I play fast,
you
so
speed
because I always, you know, when I'm at home playing with the music, I don't know, you know, I'm recording, but you know, when you in church or you know some kind of event playing, you have to stay on tempo.
Oh yeah.
And I never had the experience with that.
Yeah, that adrenaline gets for a while. Like beforehand, I used to would not do what we call fill-ins. I would just play it, and I wouldn't put no extras or nothing in it. And then after a while, I guess I got comfortable, and I'd step out the box a little bit. But to me, many times musicians, that's what we hide behind that particular instrument. But from there, like I said, I've been playing now a little over 30 years.
Wow.
And music has allowed me, I've traveled to like 31 countries.
Wow.
On 5 continents. I think the only continent I don't want to go, I believe, that's Antarctica. I don't like cold. But I've been to Africa several times, you know, Europe, Asia. I haven't been to China. And I think I've been to a little over half of the United States. And that's just all through music.
Man.
And that really happened. That's a door opened for me in 2018. And I started traveling for a televangelist by the name of George Bloomer, Bishop Bloomer. And from there, man, he had told me, he was like, man, you know, you got your passport? I ain't have a passport. Me and my wife, we had talked about doing some things. But I finally, I got my passport. And from there, my first trip was 21 days in Africa.
Okay.
I was in Johannesburg and Cape Town.
21 days.
21 days, first trip. And I tell anybody, I believe that was that was an opportunity that I was like, man, I can't pass that up.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I can't.
I would have took it as well. I would have took it as well. So were you out there playing?
Yes.
Okay.
I went over there playing. I told folk, man, my credit wasn't good. Didn't have money like that. I think me and my wife got married, so we've been married. This year will be 10 years.
Nice. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. We got married in 2015, August of 2015. And I actually put us on what I call like a 2-year. We try to accomplish something every 2 years, either me or her. And like I said, around that time when I went, I had $100 in cash, and I had a $2,000 credit limit on Capital One.
Okay.
My other couple of credit cards only like $500. So I would pay the bills, and then I would tell her, I was like, oh, look, say this right here, this $2,000 just in case I need to try to get back home. You know.
That's valid. That's valid.
So
That's valid.
I was like, so we left. I would go out. That first trip, came back. I had the $100 in my pocket, the $2,000 credit card untouched, and I made earn money while I was over there.
Okay.
So that kind of introduced me to different money currencies.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that like when we're sleeping, another country or something is awake.
Yes.
I think at that time we were about 8 hours. I think ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, it was ahead. So 8 hours ahead of here. So it was like, I had to call my wife at certain times. So we trying to orchestrate because it's about bedtime. Like even now,
and
it's probably almost 9 o'clock, possibly over there, and so we got to do that. Took me over there, and while we were sitting in Africa, he told me, he said, your finances will change. He said, your credit is going to change. He said, everything is going to change, and it did. Wow. It happened because now I flip-flop because back when I first started lessons, I took lessons under a pastor here named Motley Davis.
Okay. And
Motley used to come in there. Pastor Davis, he would be like, one day y'all will be able to play and do this stuff. I want that fancy stuff.
Yeah.
And then he said, if y'all take this serious, he said, music bought me and my wife our first house. And he said, if y'all take this serious, we will boot. So time goes on. So I went 2018. In 2020, right before the pandemic
was a thing.
Yeah.
It was like March.
Yeah. It did, yeah. We bought our house in July in the pandemic. You're right. Because I remember I was in Florida when the corona first was mentioned. They first mentioned it in like January, and I seen it in the newspaper when Kobe Bryant died.
Oh wow.
We were in Florida, but then when I came back, we bought our house, and I called him and I said, you know what? You told me back when I was 11. So here it is, I'm about 38. Yeah. 38 at the time. And I'm like, music bought me and my wife our first house.
Wow.
And so I got into that. I got into finances and things like that. And actually, my friend Hoom's studio, we come to my boy,
Shout
Chris
out
Harris.
Chris Harris, man.
That's my guy right there. That's my boy.
Too,
I watched me and him play music together. Probably when he first came, he came over to Bible Way with me.
Okay.
Man, this was probably like 2014, something like that. But I've been knowing Chris before then. And things like that. But Chris is an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And not to put all his business out there, but whatever he's very savvy. So we would talk about different things, and even now I call him like my counselor. That's like my counselor. That's my good guy, But like I said, we would just talk about different things, and then musically, I feel like you got to have like an end game. What you do, and like I know that this is my gifting, my calling. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do into other arenas, other areas.
Okay.
So I started credit. I only do what I understand.
Okay.
I only do what I understand. And so I started looking at, during the pandemic stuff, credit, because people were trying to figure out how they can get their credit and different things like that up to par. And I made some connections through someone that helped me get my credit through my travels.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to do was kind of like share that knowledge with other folks, because many times we don't get to brush shoulders with everybody.
No.
And millionaires, anybody that's willing to share information.
Yes.
And sometimes, you know, in the African American community, I don't know about the other ones, other communities, many times we can have access to people, but we become too common and familiar with them.
Yes.
To the point that sometimes we don't tap into it. We'll rather go to somebody else that we don't know when you got access to someone that knows. And for me, my pastor used to be called the voice of experience.
Okay.
And I kind of started tagging myself the voice of experience, though I'm younger.
Yeah.
Because a lot of stuff that I've learned is either through experience, through rejection.
Most definitely.
Because many times we don't read the rejection letters that the bank or someone gives us.
You read the first line. And
say, you say you denied. That's it. You don't go and say, okay, but what is it?
Exactly.
Why did they deny me? Why did this, that, and the third? What happened? And so I started reading some of that stuff, and also I would listen to what the banker or someone would say.
Okay.
So from there, that's how I kind of learned a little bit about the credit. And many times what we don't know, and if we don't have someone that has gone through it, we can think that what we are doing is illegal.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we don't have nobody that has tread those waters before.
Yeah.
And I often use this example because number 45 became number 47.
Yeah.
That's president.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
you know, just in case they didn't catch it.
Yeah.
But, you know, when he was 45, people were in an uproar about, because he said he only paid like $600 or $700 taxes. I'm not mad that he paid that. I want to know how.
Listen, I thought I knew I wasn't the only one, but I knew I was in that small percentage of people that wanted to know how.
Yeah.
Like, you may be upset because of his, like where he is in the world, like who he is and what he represents. But at the end of the day, he's just American just like we are. He's human just like we are. So if he can do it, so can we.
Right. And it's
how?
Loopholes. There are loopholes. There are fine prints. And because the system is written by humans. So a human is going to be some human error or something somewhere along there. But again, I started talking because even in my backtrack getting up to there, I served on I used to serve on the housing board. Okay. And I served on the, social services advisory board. And that allowed me to meet some of the city officials. And I got on that because I also, one of my, if it's a business, would be, I have an outreach ministry called Bridge the Gap Outreach Ministries. Okay. And that was, they often used to say you got to have an arm of income, but you also got to have an arm where you are giving.
Yes, for sure.
So my outreach ministry kind of helped with what I do, my ministry, preaching and teaching and different things like that. So you just knowing where to put what entity.
Yes.
And so from there, we ended up, I'll do the outreach. I did the music. I started the,
was it the credit?
Oh yeah. I do the credit. I talk about that, and I do the chauffeur.
Yes.
I do a luxury chauffeur service.
Yes.
And I'm trying to think, is it anything else?
Author?
I did author. Oh yeah, I'm an author. So all of those are, people talk about how you have many irons in the fire.
Yes.
But all those irons are in there to make one big iron.
Okay. And
so the big iron is getting back. I always just say I don't love money.
Okay.
I like it.
I
like money. But It's to really to make a solid foundation for family and kids. You know, you want to give back to the community and also something that legacy.
Yes.
That's really what it
struck an
for
iron.
Me,
Legacy. Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like me leaving my mark in this earth.
Yes.
Some kind of way. Yeah. So when it comes to with the credit learning from the banking institution, it's just like, so I go there, I tell people, see what it is. What's your end game?
Okay.
That's the first thing. Like, what is your objective? What are you trying to do? And then you can kind of build from there. I'm gonna just somewhere we just shoot out there. Let's say for people that are entrepreneurs, many times they may want a house.
Yes.
But as entrepreneurs, we never sometimes tell exactly what we make.
Yes.
Because we write it off. So we look at sometimes, many entrepreneurs look at, okay, tax season. They want to get a large refund. But if you get that large refund, it's because you've taken a loss somewhere.
Yes.
And if you've taken a loss somewhere, it's hard for you to get money from a bank because the bank wants your business to look profitable.
Okay.
And from what I've noticed when it comes to like even with our taxes and stuff, there is a sweet spot number.
Okay. And what you talking about, the tax number?
Yeah, in your tax on your income.
Your income number, okay.
All right. There's a sweet spot number, meaning let's see how I go with this. $1 on your taxes can change your whole tax bracket.
Okay.
And let's say if it's you may for certain middle class or something, it might go up to like maybe like 30 let's say $39,000.
Okay.
If you can get $1 or something over, it takes you over into another tax bracket.
Okay.
So when it comes down to that sweet spot number, you want to find out if your tax professional that you're dealing with, because they can play with the numbers.
Okay.
We as entrepreneurs control the amount that we say we make.
Yes.
So, many times the government will say that you have to pay estimated taxes. And you pay estimated taxes on the amount that you estimate you're going to make for the year or for that particular month.
Okay.
So if you say, okay, I'm going to make $100,000 this year.
Yeah.
That means you're going to pay taxes as if you're making it. How you get a refund is if you don't reach that 100, because you have paid into it as if you made it. So that's how you kind of like get that. That refund.
So would that be a quarterly? Like
if you do it quarterly. Like for me, I don't do the quarterly. I wait to the end of the year.
Okay.
And I just do that because you really don't know. But I'm like, why am I gonna give y'all? And there's different methodologies. So you have to do whatever works for you. Everything, whatever works for you. And so even with that led me to write a book. And the book is entitled My Process to Millionaire Status.
Say that one more time.
My Process to Millionaire Status. Hold on. Because I even bought you a book today, too. I got some stuff. This is my book. My Process to Millionaire Status.
Yes.
And many people get it twisted because it's like, what they see and it's like, oh, your process. So they think I'm telling them what's about me. Yeah. In the book is basically like 4 stages. Basically, you're planning your situation. You it's principle how to build your credit. Talking about how to rebuild your credit, mindset change, and then it talks about like borrowing from the bank. I'm gonna give that one to you right now.
Oh yes.
Becoming your own bank. Yeah, my process. So the process is really just, learning about the credit. Because I tell anybody, if you don't have credit, you got to have some cash.
Okay. So if you don't have cash or credit, then you kind of
you up the creek. without a paddle.
You're done for it. Okay.
Yeah, you're
okay.
done. It's like
okay.
because you got to have something really to leverage.
Yes. Okay.
And so in that whole leveraging, again, listen to what is being said. You need to know, and I think some of the young folk now, they got words called ops.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
So to me, for lack of better, from what I understand about the ops is your opposition, basically, right?
Yes.
So the opposition is the people that you're trying to get, possibly, let's say you're trying to get something from. That would be the financial institution or whatever the case may be.
Yes.
You need to know what their system is. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got to learn them. Like, for example, you got certain financial institution here, knowing what credit system they use. Do they use Experian? Do they use TransUnion?
Okay.
Do they use TransUnion, Experian, or Equifax?
Okay.
That way you kind of know what you're looking for. And you know what they're measuring.
Yes.
What their measurement is on what your credit worthiness. And then you got to know, like, okay, don't ever lose your street smarts.
Okay.
What I mean by don't lose your street smarts is don't talk too much.
Noted.
It's like, they ask you a question, you answer somewhat that particular question.
And that's it. Okay.
And you kind of pull back, okay, we go in, but like, yeah, I rent, how much, how much you, I pay $1,200 a month. Oh, okay. Yeah, how much you make? Well, let's say, I'm going to use a number because it's going to be easy math for me. Let's say you go there, you got $1,000 rent. And then let's say I go, how much is your car? Oh yeah, my car payment, that's, I pay $500. Okay, yeah, $1,500. And then what else you got? Oh yeah, I got another something I pay another $1,000. That's $2,500, right? All right. How much you make? Oh, I make $60,000 a year. Oh, $60,000 a year is $5,000 a month. The bank ain't gonna give you. They're gonna turn you down because the $2,500 is 50% of your debt.
Your debt. Okay.
And they don't want you to be anywhere above, really, like no more than 40.
Okay.
45 at the most. That's who, depending on who your bank is, but really about 30%. They ain't trying to do that. So you got to know all of that.
Okay.
Somewhat the ins and outs.
So if your expenses are 25 and the income is 5, like $2,500 you pay out and you get 5 a month.
Right. That's 50%.
That's 50%. So
they're going to automatically deny you.
That's a good number. That's a good way.
So many times, I tell people, most of the time, certain stuff is not required.
Gotcha.
But you do need to know what your situation is.
Yeah, for sure.
You need to know what your debt to income ratio is, what your debt, is. But again, sometimes you get to say, you live with your parents. Yeah. If you live with your parents, you say you live with your parents.
Yes.
And that's not factored in. My point is, don't say too much that you end up
not getting.
You shooting yourself in the foot. Because though you can probably foot it, because you think about it now, even Danville, a lot of these apartments now, $1,500.
Yeah.
And then some of them want you to make 3 times that. Come on.
Yes.
So what I noticed is some financial institution, they would give me a car before they would give me a loan for a house. You can get an apartment, they won't give you a loan for a house.
Yes, I've seen that.
So those are some of the little nuggets and things and stuff like that. I kind of talk about in there. Like I said, I just want to help. My whole mission is like really to help people.
Yes.
Now I will say I've had, because I get religious sometimes, spiritual, whatever. We got so many names, folk. Now I'm a Christian. I follow Christ.
Yes.
But many times, people, they get it. I'm gonna say somewhat kind of like twisted when it comes to like just helping and stuff like that. But I just personally feel that couple of years ago, I felt that God spoke to me. He said that from the inside, we believe in the unction, that there are going to be some people that's going to have to pay you for information that you would have given them for free.
Okay.
And that goes back to something I said earlier, how sometimes our friends, some people, they're too close to us.
Yes.
And they don't want to glean from you. Like you have this podcast, some folk will go sit on someone else's podcast.
Yes. Yes.
But won't come sit on yours until they find out that somebody they look up to has sat on your in the seat. And that's what I found. I found that my name was in rooms that my body wasn't, my presence wasn't. My name was just in there.
Good rooms.
Yeah, it was good rooms. So it was like,
wow.
Where it's like, I remember one time a friend that called me. He was like, one of my friends called. He's like, you supposed to be helping me get my credit together. And I said, I've been trying. I said, it's here. Yeah. But the backdrop to that is they were talking amongst, it was like a table of guys that were talking.
Gotcha.
And a question that came up where it was like, well, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to her, and this one. And the person said, well, when I got questions or something, like I call JR. And my friend was like, huh? Like, what? So when he found out like that someone else had access, then that's when you want to tap into it. And I'm like, it's always been available, but now you got to pay for it. It's in the, some stuff now is in the book.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like you got a great thing here. This is.
Wow. Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah. This is great. So, like I said, I know I done went somewhat all the way around the whole. I done went somewhat out of order.
I mean, it's the journey. You've done. You know what I'm saying? A great job. Like I've been able to learn and listen and
yeah. And I got something else for you because in my authorship, if that's the correct terminology for it, in my writing, I wrote a 30-day devotional. So the 30-day devotional was first.
Okay.
And in that one, it's called Let Go of the Cookies.
Okay.
So a lot of my titles is just like sometimes when people make a post, if you want people to read it, sometimes you got to make it sound like it's juicy.
Yeah.
So the first thing, let go of the cookies. They try, what kind of cookies? What kind of cookies you talking about?
I know.
So I'm like, I capitalize on anything.
Yes.
Whatever, let the mind do whatever. But this is the Let Go of the Cookies. I got that book for you too.
Let's go.
Yeah, so that's my first. This was the first one, and then my Process of Millionaire Status was the second. But the Let Go of the Cookies, it deals with the good that we have on the inside of us that need to be released into the lives of other folks. And it was derived from my grandmother used to have this cookie jar that had it was in the shape of a strawberry. Okay. And she put some cookies in there. And one day we was coming from school and I put my hand up in the cookies. And I was trying to, I was feeling like she wasn't gonna let me get no more. I could only get one cookie. So I was trying to make sure I grabbed as many as I could. And my hand got stuck in the cookie jar.
Oh man.
And as I was trying to get it out, and she was like, basically, if you let go of the cookies, you'll get your hand out.
Yeah.
And so I looked at that from two different angles. One, that the good that I have on the inside of me that need to be released, but also the good that was in the cookie jar that I was trying, a little snack that was just going to hold you over until it was meal time or lunch, whatever. It's just a little tidbit. And so in this one, it talks about, like one of my nuggets that I say in this one is that it wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back.
Okay.
It was everything that was already on the camel. The straw was just the tipping point. And really, that one is basically to know our limits and our capacity.
Yes. That's very important.
Yeah.
That's
so
very
that,
important.
When, never allow anyone to push you to your breaking point. You got to pull back, do whatever to save, your peace.
Yes.
And then another one I have in here, it talks about One is called "Keep Your Vent Closed."
Okay.
Okay.
That one. Okay. Well, let me
Now,
get it.
keeping your vent closed. I did initially. I had thought about an air conditioner vent.
Okay. Okay.
But it's talking about your mouth, and meaning I say it like
See,
this.
I'm thinking air conditioning.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So I put it like this. We all have a best friend that may not be the best friend to us.
Okay.
So I put it like this. You're my best friend, but you have another best friend. So while I'm venting all of my frustrations and my stuff to you, you're venting your stuff plus my stuff to somebody else. And many times we wonder, how did such and such know? We told it.
Yes.
So it's some stuff we gotta keep our vent closed, keep that mouth, keep your mouth closed, because again, stuff like that does happen.
Oh yeah.
So that's what's in here. And I even got something in here about book money. One thing about something about money. But this one is basically like 3 phases. It deals with like us.
Okay.
Hold on, let me make sure. Okay. We got one, we called it ships. And the ships dealing with relationships, friendships, fellowships.
Okay.
And different things like that. Those different things. And then I think the other one deals with us, looking at yourself. And then the other one, how it affects other people.
Okay.
And things like that. So, like I said, and in each one of these, in each one of my books, I try to put something where you do reflections. Okay. Like in the My Process to Millionaire Status, it asks you questions at the end so that you can actually like, okay, what is your financial situation? You can write it down. So it's something like a mini journal.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I was trying to figure out how you knew. I was just talking about my goals for the month this morning, and I was like, I need to get down to my storage because I was in the process of moving some things, and I had a whole bucket of books that I put in storage that I said I would get out because I had a surgery recently, and I had to kind of like take it easy, and so now I can't get to it. I went back there to try to get to it about a week ago, and I wasn't able to get there because I needed help to move the stuff. So I'm like, okay, I need a book to read because I'm going to achieve, everything that I set out to do for the month, all my goals, and it was to read one book this month. And I literally just said that this morning. So not only am I going to achieve the goal, I'm going to overachieve.
Oh yeah, because like and it's short. Books, it's like they're real. They're short. They're impactful.
Even if it was longer, I would
drop my plug. Go to my website.
Yes. Oh yeah, go ahead. Most definitely.
J Ministries. I was going to get my other. I got a couple of J Ministries. JAEMINISTRIES. JMinistries.com, and also www.bridgethegapjae.com. And so it basically tells a lot about what my outreach ministry is about, because we try to do like some feedings, we try to do clothing giveaways and things like that. I'm also working on like some merchandise because and that's for you.
Nice. Thank you.
I was in like one of my you talking about you had surgery. One of my setbacks.
Yes. I know I was going to ask you. That one, that one took the headlines for the city though. Like that one, that hit home. I was working at Walmart with your wife, and when I found out everything, and I saw it I think I put 2 and 2 together at that point. But I was like, wow. So I continue to say my prayers and check in on you when she came back. So
yeah. So I did. I was in a car accident, and actually I was in 2.
Wow.
It's coming up on 2 years now.
Wow.
Still have some complication, but the first one was in May. I think it was around about May 27th. Both of them was in 2023, and they were like 2 weeks apart.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And it's crazy because it ties into business. So to get to the accident, hopefully it ain't considered bragging, but I did before the accident, my 40th birthday gift to myself was a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
I had a Rolls Royce Ghost.
I think that's the one I remember the first time I met you, when you came to the building. You pulled up in there.
Yeah, yes.
Blown away.
Had the Ghost.
Okay.
And no one in the city, to my knowledge, had a Rolls Royce. They had a Bentleys, but not a Rolls Royce. So that's what prompted me to do, to rebrand my chauffeur business.
Okay.
The first chauffeur business I had, like 2017, was called Bridge the Gap Luxurious Chauffeur Service.
Okay.
And then when I got the Rolls Royce a few years later, I changed it from that to First Class Luxuries.
Yes.
Go to the website, First Class Luxuries LLC.
Yes.
.com. So I got the Rolls Royce, and I was like, you know what? Thinking again, business. My mind was like, you know what? I'm gonna let it pay for itself.
Yes. Gems.
Yeah, I was like, yo, let it pay for itself. Buy it. I'm like, so I got it. And I was like, so I started that because like people wanted to rent it for proms, weddings, night out and things like that. So that's what made me do it. So got that. Then things were going good. I got that. Then like the next year, well, that was 22. I got that 2023. It was an accident 2021. 22. I think I got that in like 22.
Okay.
The year before that, 2022. And that following year, in 2023, like the beginning, I bought a Bentley.
Yeah.
So I bought the Bentley just for proms. I like get them something. So I had the Bentley, the Rolls Royce, the Maserati, and I had an Escalade.
Yes.
Yes. All that was in first class. That's why I call it first class luxury.
Yes.
I always loved,
I remember.
Whew.
I remember.
So I was going to take my daughter. We was going to get something from my grandma. My grandmother called. She made my daughter a sweet potato pie.
Okay, go and get the pie.
I was going to get the pie on the way back home. Initially, I had stopped. This was a crazy part in my reflection. I stopped by the house because I was going to drop the Rolls Royce off. And I was going to switch cars. And I was like, something. I always say something was like, no, just take that.
Yeah.
Part of me, after I tell this story, I wish I had a switched.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I had switched, what was to come could have been worse.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Because Rolls Royces are handcrafted. They are probably like almost at least 6,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And that was an extended version of that car. So coming home, this was probably about 7, almost 8 o'clock. And we was driving and I saw some headlights coming towards me on 41. And literally I heard a voice say, turn your car to the right to save your life.
Wow. So
my daughter's in the back. I'm driving, and I did. I turned to the right. When I turned to the right, boom. Wow. This lady, she had hit me on the driver's side rear by me turning. It scraped up the passenger door and hit scraped up the driver door and hit the passenger side, knocked that stuff out. So that totaled the Rolls Royce.
Wow.
So
Daughter was okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Daughter was okay.
Okay.
I was good. That thing was like a tank. So it hit me and we said, whoop, we moved and it leveled out.
Okay. That's good.
Young lady, man, she had a Toyota 4Runner, I think, and she had broke like her rim. She was riding on a broken rim and she fled the scene. And then
crazy.
Yeah. So a couple of weeks after that, I done went to church. We charismatic. I'm shouting.
Yeah.
Shouting, God done brought me out, saved my daughter, and all this stuff, very excited. Not knowing that what's to come that week was going to be worse than that. So, my wife and I, we had bought a Sprinter van. Oh, this was going to add to the fleet.
I was going to say, let's add to the fleet, right?
It was add to the fleet. It was what we call the limo Sprinter, a.k.a. the party bus.
Yes.
Picked the party bus. They delivered it to me brand new, 2020. I think it was a 2022, 2023. They delivered it to me on a Friday. I went to my goddaughter's cookout on Sunday. I was leaving and coming up there, and some gentlemen, from my understanding, it was 2 guys, only one they found, hit me on the Sprinter van, 15 passenger, hit us so hard that it knocked the motor, transmission, and drive shaft 50 feet out of the car.
I didn't know the details. That's crazy.
Yeah, 50 feet out of the car, knocked me in the direction I was going. And so they were so drunk that they was able to get out of there, tighten, and to run, flee. Even one guy, he was so hurt that he refused medical treatment, but he was bleeding. That's how he did. But they brought me to the hospital. I spent like 7 days in the hospital. They were going to airlift me, but because of something with the clouds, they couldn't land. So I did that. All the damage was on my right side. So I had bleeding on the brain. I had a punctured lung, 3 fractured ribs, multiple fractured pelvis, broken what they call distal radius. This was shaped out of here, so they had put a rod in here. Broken tib fib, so I got a rod in the middle, going down from my knee down, and my leg. So I had to learn how to write, learn how to walk, play, all of that over again. From a drunk driver. And even now, that's why I keep raising up sometimes, I think it's a fractured tailbone. But it's because the tailbone is so, in a certain awkward position, they say, there's nothing really they can do. I'm trying to find me just in case. I don't know what this might reach, but it might be a tailbone specialist out there. Call me. I'm telling you. But it's it's one of those situations I think I'd have to live with. Okay. Well, I know I'm have to live with it. The rod is in my leg for life, unless I have complications or something with it. But I was out of work for like 18 months, so over a year. So that's where a lot, even when it comes to financial stuff, is like from a male standpoint where, you get down to zero, where you exhaust all your means and stuff like that. Though I'm married, I had to talk to my wife, like, look, baby, I'm tapped out. I was, even while I was in the hospital, I was brokering deals because I'd already made the deals. I was in the hospital. And I had a job that I was supposed to do that next week. And I had to call and shuffle things around. Yeah. Still made a little bit. But after that, the money just depleted, bills and different things and stuff, quote unquote, piling up. We did what it do, but never went hungry. You had different ones that stepped in that may, help out and, different sorts of resources. But now, 2 years later, we're coming up June 11th of this year will be 2 years. I still have certain little hiatuses that still bother me, but overall, I'm back walking, back playing, back up. Because you had to get all your ingenuity back. So sitting on this in these chairs and talking with you or whatnot, it gives you a shot in the arm because you can take all the money, you can take everything away, but people cannot take the lessons and the knowledge you acquired to get what you got.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And when you learn and you know what it took to get it, it don't really take you long to get stuff back. You can always. I
want to say, so you must have had a strong mindset to bounce back from that. Like
I ain't gonna lie, I didn't. Man. I experienced, I feel like every emotion that could be, from depression. I will say this, I never contemplated suicide. Though.
Okay,
I would say that.
That's good.
The reason why, I'm going to tell you, just in case somebody listening to this podcast, you probably tell you why I never thought it, because I had a pastor friend of mine, and he said, we were in a class one time, he said, what if you go to take your life and it don't go the way you planned it? So now you sit there, you didn't try to blow your brains out, you didn't try to do something, and now you're alive and have to sip food and stuff through a straw. That's it. Wow. I mean, you're paralyzed like that. Because even in that whole situation, I know of people that died from that. Literally, I had a friend of mine that passed away from, something like that, car accident. Yeah. I started playing at this church, and a young lady, she was telling me her son was in a car accident. And I went to talk to him because he was paralyzed basically from his neck down.
Oh, wow.
Same type of situation.
Wow.
I think not only it was God, and I feel like a purpose, but that vehicle, I was so high up that it, how it jammed me in, but overall, it just a lot of time. I wanted to just go out and scream. I talked to a counselor many times. I did talk to a counselor.
Okay.
One.
Did you scream? I mean, that's not bad, right? Go outside when nobody's home and just let all your
I'm trying to think. Did I ever
at home in general?
Did I ever get to do it on my back porch? I know one time I did. I thought about it. Yeah, I did that because I couldn't drive. I couldn't do nothing. Like, you become dependent on people.
Yeah.
To want to do it. So I wasn't a good patient all the time. You always felt like somebody could have did a little bit more.
Yeah.
I wanted to be babied up a little bit. I went from a wheelchair to a walker, from a walker to a cane, where you had to let somebody bathe you, shower you. You can't stand up for long periods of time. And I'm here now.
Right in here, drove over here.
Yeah, I drove over here,
moving around, talking. Just I would have never known.
I think I'm also be like a little comedian, but sometimes one time I think I even tried to sneak out. I tried to sneak out and try to drive, and you got a cane. I had a brace on here because, again, that's your dominant side.
Yes.
Because I'm right-handed.
Yes.
But for the most part, it was just something. I tell anybody, you hang in there.
Oh yeah.
Learn. Find some, other things that you can do. You can write your mind. You can talk it out.
Yes.
Recorder, whatever it takes. But like I said, this right here, for somebody that even want to interview you or even talk to you, hopefully something I've said thus far is
what?
It's helpful. So, any questions, if y'all out there that's watching the podcast, contact her. If y'all got any questions, I don't mind really helping in any way. I try to shoot that stuff off the dome a little bit, but
hey, listen, no, that's good. I mean, I learned a lot, and these books right here, I mean, you just don't know what these mean right now. Like, these books right here are really going to change the game for me, because I like to set goals and achieve them. So, and then this is going to allow me to overachieve my goal, because I only had a goal set to read one, but now it's something that's going to help. Like, this right here, I wasn't asking for, but it's apparently something that I needed. You know what I'm saying? But this right here, my process to millionaire status, I mean, I'm banking on myself with my own business right now and building, like you said, a legacy. So just to be able to read that and get the gems and learn, and like you said, the access that I have now from building a relationship with you, just being able to say, hey, ask questions and just get that guidance is next level. It's next level, man. I'm man.
Yeah, I feel like relationship is the new currency.
Yes.
And people, we have heard it probably growing up or some throughout, where they say it's not sometimes like what you know is who you know.
Oh yeah.
And that's what it is. And many times, like I said, it's just the connection I've made around the world with people that are making moves and doing things like that. Now, there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about the great men are not always wise.
Okay.
And that means that sometimes we can make foolish decisions. And it was always taught to me this way: a fool is a person that knows what to do, when to do, but don't do it.
Okay.
And to me, even with those two books, they both are geared in a biblical principle type of thing, because each one they talk about how the Bible speaks of, would a person build a house without first counting up the cost. And so that's like the opening of that. It's like, okay, knowing where you are, what's your financial thing. And here's another nugget. Like, there are a couple of banks locally here that deal with lines of credit.
Okay.
So this be for you. So
okay.
Yeah. So many times we hear of lines of credits when it's dealing with a HELOC, home equity line of credit, but you also have personal lines of credit. So for me, I'm an advocate. One, I do like using credit unions.
Yes.
Versus big banks.
Okay.
But I like credit unions because they're usually in to help the consumer, whereas the other one is really more profit, in my opinion. But I'll just tell people now, if you're able to, and that financial institution you deal with does a line of credit, get a line of credit versus getting a personal loan. Because the line of credit allows you to borrow just the amount you need.
Okay.
And only pay interest on that amount.
Okay.
Whereas if you get a personal loan, let's say, I'm going to use both of them. Let's say you need $10,000.
Okay.
If you get a $10,000 loan, and let's say the term of that is 2 years, when you pay that personal loan back, then that's it. You got to reapply to get another loan.
Okay.
But if you get a line of credit, the line of credit for $10,000, let's say today you need $2,000.
Yeah.
You can go get $2,000 out. You're only going to pay interest on the $2,000, and you got $8,000 that's still sitting there. Okay. And let's say tomorrow you need, I need another $1,000. You can go through there. You don't have to run your credit again because it's already there.
Okay.
But when it comes to your that loan, that's it. Once they give it, they're gonna give it all to you. Which simultaneously, you could take that whole $10,000 out of that line of credit.
Yeah.
But what I like about it too is, let's say you take the whole $10,000 out. Every time you make a payment on the line of credit, it frees up that money. So a portion of that will go to the interest, and then the other remaining portion will go to your available balance. So that's why I look at it, because we don't know. It's like an emergency fund type of thing. And it's just like a credit card because every time you make a payment, it frees it up.
Yeah.
So I have different mentality thoughts on certain things when it comes to like credit and things like that, how you do. But it's all because many times, even in the book and when people talk to me, you have to debunk some of the myths and misconceptions that we were taught growing up.
Yes.
And they taught it based off of their limitations and what they had available to them now.
Exactly.
Now we're living in a whole nother society where we got cryptocurrency. We going into a cashless society, but it's still going to be, in my opinion, cash will always be king.
Oh, yeah.
You have some in gold and all that thing, but that's basically it.
So
but
to get that line of credit, what would so I know you're talking about. So flashing back to when you first were talking, you said you went out to Africa, bad credit, a little bit of money. So you had to establish a credit, right? You had to get, I don't know, you said bad credit or no credit, right? But so you had to actually build and get there. So how did you get it to where you needed to be to be where you are right now?
All right. So what I did, I talked to a credit guy, and they was there, people cleaning, credit, stuff like that. But I tell anybody, if you want to start now, you need a credit card.
Okay.
At least a credit card, because a credit card is revolving. Okay. So that's going to help build your credit quicker. Whether you go out here and do, you can do one where there's a secured one or unsecured. The secured is where you put up some money. Okay. And then unsecured is where they give it to you. Okay. But the thing is, whatever you get, if you get a credit card, don't spend, they tell us, on the average, 30%, no more than 30%. Yeah. But the wealthy don't put in it. They only use 1 to 10% of their credit. Okay. But you got to understand, you look at, all right, 10% of 300, that's $30. Yep. But if you got $3,000 limit, now that comes 30% is $300. Yep. If you got a $30,000, see, so it goes on up like that. So I say your credit card, and just start using where you put like your gas. Yeah. Or I tell people, and what I do too personally. So a lot of that stuff is like my personal stuff, like what I do personally. Yeah. Let's say whatever I was going to pay, I could pay cash for. Sometimes I put it on my card. Okay. Because regardless, you got to have some type of credit. Yeah, that makes sense. They want you something. You got to have something in your name, whether it's a little car or something. Your credit, but it deals with credit management.
Yeah.
You got to know how to manage it. But I started with that. I looked at my credit. You can pay down certain things. Like for example, if I'm mistaken, two of our local banks here, URW.
Okay.
URW is one. You got Valley Star. URW uses, if I'm mistaken, they use TransUnion.
Okay.
And then if I'm mistaken, let's say Valley Star was using, might be Equifax.
Okay.
See, institutions and creditors have to pay in order to put marks on your stuff. So like now, as a business owner, if we were rolling like that, you could actually report to your own. So for example, if First Class Luxury, somebody did something, I could report to that. But I got to pay. And then sometimes you're like, okay, is it worth it? Okay. So it's like now, but when you're a big financial or any type of institution, you got hundreds of clients.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can do that. But everybody doesn't report to all. They might favor one. Then URW also, they have a personal line of credit.
Okay.
That they do. For example, like I have like a $5,000 limit with them. And like I said, that's how I use it. So you take and you learn that type of stuff. Yeah. Like now, I'm going to use one now for those that might be listening. Let's say they're in Danville. Knowing the difference between your statement closing date and your due date. Those are two different dates. The statement closing date is the date that they're going to report to the credit bureau. Okay. Your due date, I really don't even focus on that. Okay. And I'm going to tell you one problem that gets people in Danville that I've noticed is when it comes to the light bill. So what I have done is I'll test a lot of these theories out on my own self and what I do. So that's what made me learn it. I started out with the cell phone bill. Okay. Because I knew that it started out on the 28th. Let's say, and I'm gonna go back to the Danville thing. Let's say your statement closing date on your cell phone is the 28th. Okay. But you want a new phone. It will be better for you to wait until the 28th to get your new phone so you can avoid those prorated charges. But what happens is we want that latest phone right then. So now it's the 15th. Yeah. Instead of waiting those, now we're going to pay another, they're going to prorate that for those 16 days. So now when your new bill comes out, you like, well, why my bill $250 when I'm used to paying $100? Because that prorated.
That makes sense.
Danville utilities, people, I used to wonder before I looked at some of this, people like, they needed help with their light bill. Yeah. And because they think that when they get their light bill on the 3rd, that they have a grace period after that. But they don't realize that they already have used their grace period. So Danville, for example, for ours, my light bill comes out on like the 27th. And then they give you 15 days basically to pay it. Okay. So they're not like some of the other creditors. Again, it's due on the 28th. Yeah. They gave you until the 5th or the 7th to pay it. So now when the 7th come, you're like, well, I ain't got it. Now they send you a disconnection notice. I got you. Because you didn't.
That makes sense.
Whereas when the other ones send you a due date, when they send it, they gonna say, okay, like Capital One, like I got in my phone and in my notes. Yeah. I got all my bills. Like what's the statement closing date? What's the due date?
I'm gonna have to add that. I have the due dates, but not the statement closing.
The statement closing date. So Capital One, let's say, might be on the 1st. But then the statement closing date is maybe on the 3rd. Okay. All right. So even if it's on that 1st, you may have 10 days, whatever that grace period, from the 1st to the 10th to pay it.
That makes sense.
Which again is different. Yeah. Theirs is after. Danville said gives it to you on the 28th. And when it's due, it's due then. You ain't got no grace period.
That makes sense.
Now, what I tell people when it comes to your statement closing date, let's say you got $200. Your credit card bill is $200. But let's say you got a bill that's $200. This is just my thought, how I kill two birds with one stone. is I'll look at, can the bill that I owe $200 be paid with the credit card?
Mm-hmm.
If it can, with that particular credit, whether it's MasterCard or something, because everybody don't take American Express.
Yeah.
If it can be paid with it, what I would do is, and let's say this is, the bill is on the 3rd, the statement closing date.
Yep.
I'll take the $200, pay the credit card, because when I pay it on that, it's going to, now the credit card on the 3rd is going to report as satisfied.
Okay.
I don't owe anything. So it's like nothing's going to happen to my credit utilization. That ain't going to go up. Nothing's going to happen. It's going to stay clear. I'll wait till the 4th or the 5th, and I'll take the credit card and pay that particular bill.
Okay.
But everybody, you got to be disciplined.
Yes.
To be able to do that. Because I've shared with some people, and I tell them, and then they get themselves they go ahead, they buying other stuff. But
yeah,
that's why I look at it. It can, like, again, if I know, like Danville, I'm gonna use the utilities again.
Oh yeah, that's
they
do.
I think they do Visa or MasterCard. Yeah. So I'll take, let's say if I needed that and I needed the money, my credit card is due, my light bill is $500. I'm like, man. So I take the $500 and I'll pay the card. Then I'll take the card and I'll pay the light bill or whatever. Now people gonna sit there like, well, see, you got a debt. Yeah, but it's all in my end game, because for me, if I'm focused more on credit, that's how I'm doing it. Because the thing is, if you don't use the credit, you lose it. Okay. They will take it. They will take your limit. So I went through a phase where I was just accepting all cards. Because what happened is, again, like I said, if I started with $2,000, my credit utilization, if I wanted to use 10% of $2,000, that's only $200. Yeah. But I was trying to work my way up where I can get to 20.
Okay.
Because if I got $20,000 worth of credit, 10% is only $2,000. Yep. But again, I said your credit utilization, you can do 30% without it doing it. So now I got $6,000 that I can play with, and it never messes with my credit.
See, so the education in that makes
it is. It's like it's a hustle. In a sense, and we call it it's hustling. And probably a better word if we don't want to use the word hustle, but it's like you understanding the system. You just playing the game that they put you in.
They created it most definitely.
Yeah, you know that's how they do it.
Discipline though, I mean, to be able to play that game, educating yourself on it, and then discipline to be able to follow through. Because I mean, without credit, like you said, I mean, what are you doing? I mean, everybody needs that. You either trying to get a loan, or you need money for this. You want to get a grant, or you want somebody to give you the money, like whatever. You still need the money, so why not develop that process where you can get it on your own?
Yeah, you want to keep I'm gonna say keep the banks on your side. Put it like this, and I this is where my thoughts process also went to. Think now, you even think, and we got our camera girl out there, she watching, but like just thinking, how many of your friends right now, if you were in a bind, and let's say your rent or your mortgage, let's say your rent is $1,500 or $1,000. I think now I don't think no rent nowhere really. I don't think it's really too far under $1,000. It might be $950. Some of my got a couple friends, but just think,
you know where you live.
Yeah. Depending on where you, it's very so. Yeah. Just think, okay, who can you call right now if you were in a bind to get $1,500 and they can give it to you without it putting them in a bind for helping you? So I would go through and I was like, how many of my friends or even family could I borrow? You ain't even got to go to $1,500 sometimes.
Yeah, just get
how many
something.
Friends you can call right now can give you $500, and you be like, look, I need this I need $500 for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
And they can say, okay, I'll get to you, and then don't put them in a financial bind.
Yeah.
And I thought about that, and I was like, what? I told my wife that, I was like, look, I'm as strong as you are, you as strong as I am. there comes time we got to keep the bank, because one in the bank gonna have some money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, if you too maxed out, they won't give you anything. But like what? That's how I looked at it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like who's gonna help me if I'm in a bind? And I thought about, I probably know. I used to say I know maybe about personally that I feel that I know maybe that's millionaires.
Yeah.
Maybe I probably know about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
That I know, you could call.
Uh-huh.
That they're gonna be tight, but I noticed like some stuff you have to diversify. You have to do certain things because you could keep a certain amount on hand, and then now when it comes to bank, they put you through so much just to get your own money.
Oh yeah. That's crazy.
But
that is crazy. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and many times people don't realize, man, banks they keep enough money on hand to operate.
Okay.
But when it comes to you needing money, I remember one time we was buying our house, and I needed to get $20,000 out for our down payment.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the bank to get my money, and I got to jump through. It's like they got to call up with this teller right here is only certified that she can give $5,000. Can only approve this. Another one, you go up to the next manager, she's only able to approve $10,000. And I'm like, yo, we ready to close on the house. I need this check. This is my money.
Yes.
And so it had to go all the way up somewhere to corporate just for them to say, yeah, they can do it.
You can get your money out.
That I can give my money out.
You did all that work, and then
work. So I'm like, it's something even now. And I had a friend of mine call me literally Saturday, and he was like, Jay, why is it? What is it that a bank? What happened? The reason why a bank would tell this client that they don't have enough money to give them the money to cash the check. And I said, a couple of things that happen. Again, if a bank say that, they have to order amount.
That makes sense.
They have to order a certain amount. If you want to get whether 50, 100,000, whatever, it's a lot of stuff. They have to go. They have to order, and then it take you about 3 days.
Yeah.
For you get your money.
3 days to get my money, man.
Yeah, and you like, yo, this is my money. So I'm like, yo, some people you just gotta knowing the system. That's all that I say. Learning the system, learning what people they do, how they operate. And again, I go biblical a lot. The Bible speaks about knowing them that labor among you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you knowing those people and you knowing the institution and even knowing your friends. We all know a friend like, son that'll hit us up.
Yes.
Well, son, we can't in return. We can't hit them up. Like you can't even hit them up for $100.
Yeah.
And you think I looked yesterday. I looked the other day. Yeah, yesterday. I was like, man, I went and got something to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Got my wife something, my daughter something. I didn't even eat. It was $40.
And you didn't even get anything.
I ain't gonna eat. It was $40.
Man.
I looked and I thought about it today. I put 40. I had to do a chauffeur drive. And all together between yesterday and today, that was $100. And I'm like, I can't show. 60 was gas.
Oh, okay.
40 was food.
Gotcha.
I'm just like, what? Man, everything is moving up. And as an entrepreneur, you're doing what you're doing. People think because you're an entrepreneur that certain things happen or you got the money and everything. No, many times entrepreneur, you're the last person to get paid.
Yeah.
Because you got to make sure your people are
when you're doing it the right way, you want to do that.
Yeah. When you're doing it right, because some folks don't want to. Now I tell anybody, I'd rather owe an institution before I owe a person.
Yeah, that's true.
That's just me. Because I don't want you. The institution can say whatever they can write on about credit. I really that stuff, but I don't want you going around talking. Oh yeah, JR owed me. He ain't pay. I did this. He ain't paid me my. No. Pay them, because folks would talk junk for $10.
Man, listen, $10 owe them, and they own like it's $1,000.
Yeah, it's like $1,000. But yeah, so that's basically somewhat my my rise, my fall, the hit, the accident. Write the books. I'm trying to make sure there's anything in the other.
Now you hit on everything. I do have a question for you.
Okay,
though. You did all of this, and I heard you say, saying you did not know how to read music, and you started entrepreneurship. Your mom did taxes and things like that. You started your business around like 11, 16. So with all that, is there any schooling in the background, like any degrees or anything? That's amazing. I like that. That's why I'm asking. I just want to make sure because I know I didn't hear anything
I'm
about
also
going to
educated.
DCC or going to online college or anything like that. So no degree.
No degree, but I did go to school.
Okay.
For nothing, I always loved psychology.
Okay.
So I got I did some class at DCC. I did some psychology at University of Phoenix.
Okay.
I took some seminary classes at Virginia University of Lynchburg.
Okay.
But schooling ain't for everybody.
It's not. But I mean, and that's the beauty of this conversation because I didn't know that prior to now, me asking, even hearing all that, even in passing with us having conversations. However, that's the beauty in it because being in the classroom for 10 years, I love the stories where it's go to college and make it, go to college and not make it, not go to college and make it, not go to college, whatever it is, but it's all in your mindset and all in what you want to actually accomplish. Like you said, you're setting goals back then, you were learning the business, you were talking to people, surrounding yourself around the right people, and you were continuing to go for what you wanted to do. And you were doing what you wanted and what was making you happy and content. And you talked about giving back. So, I mean, the good in you came out. But like I said, I mean, just all that without schooling, what society says you need to have a degree. Like, go to school, get a degree, you know what I'm saying? Get all this, paperwork, certifications, this, that, and the third to achieve millionaire status. Now, I mean, material things don't mean a lot, but they mean a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see the cars that you drive. I see the luxury car business that you have, the credit business. I saw that you had your book signing at the new casino that just opened like the beginning of the year, right? Wasn't it?
It opened last really like November.
November, okay, yeah. So I mean, it really hasn't been open like that long. You did your book signing there. I can only imagine the neighborhood you live in the city. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very nice, and just the lifestyle that you're living without the societal, degrees, all of this, that, and the third, you know what I'm saying, that concept. You said you were raised in a single-parent household.
Yeah, I would say you
went to opportunity school. So for those who don't know, opportunity school is alternative school, right?
Yeah, that was alternative school.
That's alternative school, which means that, I don't know if you got put out of school or not, but...
They didn't put me, I accepted, I wanted to go.
Okay.
It was based off of the thing. See...
Yeah, when they started it before, it was different. You're right.
Yeah, the other side is like, I've always been a thinker. I'm an analytical thinker. I overthink. And then I was that student or the child that I can make A's. But I didn't want the pressure of my mom expecting me.
That's smart.
Making
That's smart, man. That's really smart.
It was. I didn't. I honestly, and this, I was like, if I could throw in it was like, it was like I was okay. Not saying that this is good. It's like I know, as I said, game recognized game now when it comes to my kids, and my kids want to do it. But it's like I was one that I wanted to stay. Let me stay. If this was what average was, let me stay here, and I'll throw you in a couple B's, and because you'll get happy at the moment. I don't want that pressure.
I got you.
I really don't. I
like the mindset.
I don't. On one hand, I work well under pressure.
Yes.
But then on the other hand,
you don't want it.
I don't want it. I don't want that sometimes that expectation. But sometimes people might call it now accountability. Now, it's some stuff now, like I started learning English and stuff, although I had to take some of those prerequisite classes. But I really started learning certain stuff. It was after, and then it really somewhat clicked. On one hand, I really think I was, I want ADHD, but I don't know, I might have been, we used to call it slow. I don't know what they call it now, to be politically correct. But, I don't, I ain't gonna say too special. My mom would say, no, you just got in trouble. You just, you just was talkative and stuff. But I was like, well, reading, I read more now, or I listen to Audible. Like I said, just talking, and I feel like my gift, that's what it is, and that's another biblical. Your gift will make room for you, and it said, bring you before great men and women. So I never have, I think my humbleness, smile, laughter, stuff like it has gotten me in trouble, and it get me out of trouble. Like something I didn't say, too, and I can say that because I think the statute of limitations is probably low, but I try hustling.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you know, I try. No, that was the pharmaceutical. You know, I try hustling, and when I would do my community outreach events, I would tell that because I would go into some of the underprivileged, and some people they look at it because you was playing and you did it, and this was while I was playing. I'm 11, so you think I was hustling, you know, with friends. But one thing that the thing for me was I wanted to be a kingpin.
Okay.
But I noticed that you can't be. It's hard to be a kingpin without people knowing your name and stuff. And I never forget, I was playing, and I had a guy, I call him like my godfather, man. And me and some of my friends, he came to me one time. He said, "Jay, I don't know what you're doing, but whatever you're doing, you need to stop." And I said, "Man, I ain't doing nothing." He said, "All right, I'm telling you." He said, "Your name's getting out there. Whatever you need to do, you need to stop." And I said, "I ain't doing that." He said, "Remember this." He said, "Nobody smokes alone." He said, "And if you got something good, they're going to tell it." I was not trying to do Danville, but I would go like Chatham and Lynchburg.
Okay. Yeah.
And I had a car, you know, I had my friend, my cousins, them and stuff like that. But again, I never really wanted to be somewhat in the mix, but I was trying to, you know, and make that money. And then I always used to say, you know, you can't make money a large. I'm gonna say you can't make money off of. I'm gonna say God's money. Like I would take my check. I'm trying to go ahead and buy them an ounce or something. I'm trying to flip because they was telling, and you know you're trying to flip it and different things like that, and it never worked. And it seemed like every time I would get down, it was like I'm gonna call it. I would say if it was the good and the evil, the devil would send somebody. I would sell all my stuff. And I'm like, you know what? This is it.
Yeah.
Somebody come, and man, next thing I know, I got it. Then I'm stuck, you know. And so it was just different things like that. Yeah, that just didn't work.
Because it wasn't working, that's what kept you on the trajectory of where you are now.
Yeah, because I always played, and music kept me. Like I said, it would get me in trouble, but it kept me out of trouble.
Okay.
My friends, if they wanted to go, they was doing something, I'd be like, "Look, I got to go play."
Yeah.
They'd be like, "Oh no, Jay, you go head on," because they knew that was more predominant for me. So it would keep me out of
that's
some
good.
stuff,
That's
you know.
solid.
But
that's good.
yeah, I don't mean, like I said, sometimes it used to be like, man, I'm gonna try to hustle, and you gonna try to do this. It ain't worth it.
Oh yeah, man. That's hey. I didn't know that. I'm glad you brought that up because I like the transparency and the realness in that. And when you're saying you're doing your outreach in those communities, it's important to know that because, again, I mean, people's journeys in their paths are very important to know. And for me, myself, I love to hear these stories because it continues to give me inspiration. Although I did go to college, I have a degree, and, you know what I'm saying, I did careers, but it's still, like, you know what I'm saying, I still had other things that I wanted to do versus what I did. I did what I did. Parents, family, or whatever, that was the main motivation behind the path that I took. However, the path that I wanted to take was different. So I'm like, you know, I could have taken a different path if I would have just stuck to my own thing. But just seeing that when you do what you want to do and take your own path, you can still come out on top. But I mean, like I said, I still can share the word. Like you said, my platform, I can still share different stories that may never get to be told on a platform like this.
You built your own platform, and that's real. Because many times people like now, like I said, I'm a minister and different things like that. But a lot of stuff I just build. You know, you don't have to wait for somebody to call you to do something. You know, build your own platform, and you go at it. You go at it like that because, like I said, in this day and time, people are so fickle. Like I say, they're very funny, and people want to see you. Sometimes you got a lot of supporters, and many times I always say, you know, don't look at, you know, the ones that's not really supporting. You just focus on the positive. Because I try to think positive, but every now and then you be wanting to know. For me, I'd be like, well, what are they saying?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I mean, it's good to know so that way you can critique yourself and see what they're saying, if it's true or not. Like, you know, maybe I do need to work on that. Whatever they don't like, maybe I do need to kind of. Or
people here and now in our city, I've yet to. I don't really understand. I think it really is in all cities because, you know, many people in Danville, they be like, oh, I want to move out. I'm going to get out of here.
Yep.
And the city that you're trying to go to is somebody in that city that feel the same way you feel about your city. And they like, I just want to get out of it. You trying to go to Charlotte and they trying to get out of Charlotte.
Yep.
Now about people up north, you know, New York, they might come down here to retire.
Yep.
But it's been a journey. On one thing, I wouldn't take it for nothing. Me and my father, we have a great relationship. Though I was a single parent, we're cool.
Yep.
Everything's good.
Same here.
I try to, I try to take different paths. He's always tried to tell me, don't be like him and different things like that. So that's it. The toughest part is sometimes you can get to a certain level that you really don't have ones that you can really talk to.
Yes.
That understand where you are, and then you don't want to say certain things to certain people because they may not have experienced it, and they might think you either trying to boast or you're trying to do things. So there's always somebody looking, can't wait for you. They can't wait to say, I told you so.
Yeah.
Like,
they sing the song, they praying on your downfall, man.
Yeah.
Praying on your downfall. That's all that is. Yeah.
Yeah. So
man, what you want to leave us with, man? Drop that gem right here at the end, right? What you
drop a gem at the I don't know if I pull it out of me. Tell me something. You gotta pull it out.
Listen. Okay, so to the hustler story, like you said, but not even that. We're not even gonna go back to that because you really hit that nail on the head and kind of close that out. Advice that you would give to your younger self right now. Like if you was talking to 16-year-old Jay, what would you say?
I honestly, for me now, like it would get better.
Okay.
Don't get weary. Somewhat, I would just say, for someone that is listening, I would just say one of my key slogans that I like. I often say, don't allow the pains of your losses to punish the gift of your present.
Okay.
And paralyze the potential of your future. No matter what happens.
You gotta say that one more time. You gotta say that one more time.
Don't allow the pains of your losses to punish the gift of your present and paralyze the potential of your future.
Okay.
No matter what happens in life, you got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. You got to keep pressing. I would basically, you just keep going. Try as best as you can to stay as optimistic.
Okay.
In the day that we're living in, you just got to stay optimistic and believe that things will get better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. That quote was really good.
Don't allow the pains of your losses to punish the gift of your present and paralyze the potential of your future.
Man, I felt that all the way through, man. So you're going to have to drop your socials all again, social media and your websites and all that good stuff.
All right, I try to keep all that. I try to keep them all simple so I can remember my social media is Bridge the Gap J.
Okay.
That's JAE at the end. Bridge the Gap J. On Facebook, I think I'm Elder James J.R. Edwards. My website, if you like to buy a book or just peruse it, it's www.jaeministries, ministries, ministries.com. Also, we got Bridge the Gap, JAE. That's Bridge the THE Gap, JAE.com. And then we got the First Class Luxury. So if you need a ride for prom, wedding, anything, you want to go out on a nice date, cruise, we got some stuff. You want to go hang out with the girls, we got a Sprinter that hey, it's luxury. It's luxury. But thank you so much for allowing me to come on here. If anybody has any questions, hopefully I get to come back and we can chop it up, man. You give me some more. I can shoot from the hip. I got the gift of gab.
Me too. We can be here.
We can be here. But thank you so much for allowing me to come.
Oh, thank you for coming. I appreciate the time. And I know you could be doing other things and, running your businesses and just living life. So, I do appreciate you saying yes. I ran into him in Walmart. I walked, hey, you remember me? I wanted to interview you on my podcast. So, that's really how that went to get to here now. And and it was good. I wasn't, but had I been afraid or just kept moving like, oh, I'll come back around, or like, we might not be sitting here right now. But I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
I went through and spoke. So yeah, man, this has been amazing. I learned a lot, and I cannot wait to read these books.
Yeah, let me know what you think. Like I said, there's a lot in there. You take your notes, and hopefully it'll help for the better.
Oh yeah, man. Listen, until next time, Stats Global Podcast. Y'all already know where we are at Stats Global Podcast on all platforms. The show where ambition meets real talk. We out.